All right, good morning, folks. Who do I have from the Public Defender's Office at Main Jail today? Because I see no one. Do they hear me? Oh, try that again.
Good morning, Judge.
Hi, how are you? It's Mr. Goldberg? No.
Mr. Romero.
Mr. Romero, I'm sorry. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
All right, folks, I have had an opportunity to review all the paperwork for each of you this morning. I have also had an opportunity to review all of your criminal history, criminal record. I do have a tendency to move quickly, so when I call your name, I need you to step forward, please. I'm sorry? Okay. Susanna Garmosen. I don't see anybody.
He's approaching, Judge. She
attorney Kenneth Padovitz.
she has private attorney, Mr. Kenneth Padovitz, Judge.
Okay.
And he contacted me. He's on his way to court, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. And just so you know, counsel, I have no paperwork on count 2. Okay. Terry Gathers, ma'am, you can have a seat until your attorney gets here.
Thank you, thank you.
Mr. Gathers, you're being held on a charge of aggravated assault with intent to commit a felony. The court does find probable cause to detain you. Sir, until further order of the court, there can be absolutely no contact with Jessica Wimberly. What says pretrial?
Your Honor, I show no prior record on this defendant.
All right, sir, I'm going to place you on pretrial release with a electronic monitor. Otherwise, general conditions on that.
Your Honor, is the cost of the monitor waived, or must he pay the $5
No,
per day?
he must pay. I don't waive unless I say so,
Okay,
okay?
Your Honor. Is he
So-
permitted to work while on this monitor?
No.
Judge, respectfully, we appreciate as far as pretrial release. However, with the monitor, he could be placed on level 2, and he would be allowed to work. We're currently working right now. He works for EPS Productions. He's a stagehand. He's been there for 3 years.
Yeah, he's going to have to bring that up with Judge Cohen, okay?
Yes, Judge.
Thank you. I'm sorry? Just, right, it's not a no bond, it's an ROR into pretrial. Sure. Yeah, just like I did it. Well, hold on, I didn't write that, did I? I'm sorry. Please, thank you.
Here you are.
Aaron Streety?
No bond
Mr.
necessary.
Streety, come on up, please.
Mr. Streety, you're being held on a charge of domestic battery by strangulation. The court does find probable cause to detain you, sir. Until further order of the court, there can be absolutely no contact with Kayla Dancy. What says pretrial?
In 2006, Mr. Streety was arrested for a kidnapping, assault, and battery. That case appears to have been dismissed. End of record.
All right. Sir, I note you're not a resident of Broward County. The court's gonna set your bond, sir, at $5,000.
Judge, we'd be asking you to consider setting a lower bond. Mr. Streety is self-employed. He just started his new business, working for being a manager for different artists. He just started. He was working at a studio records, but he just left that job. So right now he has no income coming in. Would you consider, he's going to be relying on his brother who lives in Detroit to post his bond. Would you consider a $1,000 bond on Mr. Streety's behalf and sign a photo order so we can photograph Mr. Streety's injuries?
I will be happy to sign a photo order based on the allegations set forth in the probable cause affidavit. This is a very serious case. The court is also concerned that the defendant has no ties to Broward County. The court declines the offer or this motion to reduce the bond. Jaquan Lightborn.
Mr. Lightborn, come on up, please.
Mr. Lightborn, you're being held on 2 charges, robbery without firearm or weapon and dating battery. The court does find probable cause to detain you. Sir, until further order of the court, there can be absolutely no contact with Marquette Zander. The court is setting your bond on each count at $5,000, sir.
Judge, Judge, if I could inquire, the jail had called Julie Chase from the Public Defender's Office. North Broward had asked if we could call Robert Kaminsky, page 23, out of order. He's,
I am really sorry, folks. That just disrupts the docket when you
Okay,
do that.
just
okay?
asking, Judge.
I will have this docket done as soon as I can, but I'm not gonna start pulling things out. Sorry about that. Andy Gowdy.
Mr. Gowdy, come on up, please.
Okay.
Mr. Gowder, you're being held on a charge of domestic battery by strangulation. The court does find probable cause to detain you, sir. Until further order of the court, there can be absolutely no contact with Renette Bell Gowdy. Sir, the court sets your bond at $5,000.
Judge, respectfully and speaking, Mr. Gowdy, my understanding is this is his first arrest. If the state could verify that, he's a registered voter in Broward County, strong ties to the community. He works for a medical optics. He's been there for about 6 months, making $13 an hour. He's going to school. He goes to Campbell University on their online program, studying IT management. His father, who's a home health aide, is going to post his bond from what he thinks his father can afford, approximately about $2,000. We'd ask you, considering his lack of any criminal priors, to reduce it from $5,000 to $2,000.
What says pretrial?
Your Honor, the defendant has no prior record if the court is inclined to release him.
The court is concerned because I have a notation here that he is from Jamaica, and the court is concerned, based on the experience in these types of cases, that there might be a fleeing to that country. So $5,000, the bond will stand, sir. Whaley Vida,
Judge, what should I do? I got 10 other hearings this morning.
why don't you go to him and come back?
Okay, so I just come back later. Courtney Alexander is my name.
Okay,
I'll be back. Thank
all right. Mr. Vida? Sir,
Judge, he's going to be requiring a Spanish interpreter.
all right, señor, siéntese un momentico, por favor. Okay, gracias. Tammy Johnson?
No problem.
Judge, I did speak to Ms. Johnson. She was wondering if the court would be inquired to resolve the case.
Yeah, it's not an attractive offer. Ms. Johnson, you're being held on a charge of trespass. The court does find probable cause to detain you, ma'am. I do note you have 118 priors. Last time I sat, it was the worst record I've seen. Now yours is the worst record I've seen. Ma'am, if you want to resolve this case today in exchange for a plea of no contest, the court will adjudicate you guilty, give you credit for any time you've already served, and sentence you to 39 days in the county jail. If you don't want that offer, ma'am, your bond is $100. What would you like to do, ma'am?
Yes, I would like to do that. Please resolve it.
Do you understand, ma'am, you'll be in jail for more than a month? If you
Judge,
accept-
Yes.
I do
Okay,
have some concerns as to that, Judge, in reviewing and after I spoke to her. If Your Honor would recall it or let me speak to her.
no, yes, you may speak.
She did advise that she wanted our office. I just,
Yeah, no, I don't have a problem with that. I'll let you speak. Jack, ma'am, have a seat for a few moments. I'm gonna call you back up in just a few minutes, okay?
Okay.
Jacqueline LeBright?
Judge, he's here at Maine, and these are municipal ordinance cases.
All right, let's see.
yeah, hi, I tried. Can I talk to Tammy Johnson, please?
All right, the court is gonna
Yeah,
have
she
to
was just
put
at
you,
the
this is
podium.
Hollywood, so this is
I don't even know.
Mr.
Stephen Shape?
This is
It's
Mr.
117,
Shade
I
and not
think.
Mr. Jara.
Yes,
I mean,
Your
not
Honor.
Mr. McLaurin.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right,
Typically, he does not come to first appearance.
even if he's called, he can't,
Well, if the court calls him,
Yeah.
would you like me to call?
could you
hi,
try
Ms.
to give him a
Johnson.
call
It's
to
Julie
see if he
Chase from the
can
Public
stop?
Defender's
Ms.
Office in
LeBright, have a
Brooklyn.
seat.
What
I'm
he's
gonna
offering
call
me
you in a
isn't
few
something
moments,
more.
ma'am.
He said you're gonna spend
Kelly
another 40
Givens?
days in jail. He's not offering you time served. So let us get appointed to the case and come speak to you, okay? Because you're not gonna be getting out.
Actually, Ms. Givens, I'm gonna have to recall you as well because I need to speak to the public defender and she's on the phone. So have a seat for just a moment, ma'am.
Okay, so I need to come back?
Yeah, have a seat for just a moment. I'll call you right back up.
Mr. Shape?
Okay.
Yes, Judge.
Janelle Gillette?
Just a medical reset.
Okay. Just so the state knows, this reflects as an ad charge as count 4. All I could find by looking is other cases with only a single count, so I don't know what this is really count for two. There's no case number on the probable cause determination. So I don't know what this is added to, so you'll have to look at that.
I'll look in BSO pics.
Okay?
Thank you, Judge.
There you go, ma'am. Talita Uryu dos Santos.
Your Honor, Mr.
I think we
Shea
called
said
for-
she's
Here
in
at
20
Maine,
minutes.
she's gonna be requiring a Portuguese interpreter, and my colleague informed me a Portuguese interpreter should be here at 10 in the morning.
Okay. Have they already been requested?
They've been called.
Okay.
He'll be here in 20 minutes, he said.
Okay. Actually, and let me get back real quickly to Ms. LeBright, who's at North, I
No,
believe.
Ms. LeBright was here at Maine.
I'm sorry, she was at Maine?
Yes. Ms. LeBright, come on up. Jacqueline LeBright is here at Maine, Judge.
Oh, not Ms. LeBright, she's the one we're waiting on Mr. Shade.
Gibbons?
Kellyanne Givens, I'm sorry, Ms. Givens.
Ms. Gibbons.
I think
I believe
she's,
she was at North Broward.
yeah, North.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and the reason I have this one, because you were on the phone, Madam Public Defender.
Yes, I
so
apologize.
This is another one, she has extensive priors. The court's gonna give an offer that includes jail time, so I wanted, you to have, the opportunity to
Speak to
speak.
her as well.
You did or didn't?
I did not. I was trying to speak to
To
Ms.
Ms. Johnson.
Johnson, yes, but I
All
can
right.
speak to her.
All right, Ms. Givens, you're being held on a capias for failing to appear on a traffic criminal matter. The court does find probable cause on this. The court notes your 30 priors. Ma'am, you have two options in this case. If you want to resolve this case today in exchange for a plea of no contest, the court will adjudicate you guilty, give you credit for any time you have already served, and sentence you to 13 days in the county jail, or you can come back and test the charge by posting bond of $250. Did you want to
How
speak?
many days in jail? How many days in jail?
13, ma'am.
That's too many, Your Honor. That's
Okay,
enough.
then you're gonna have to see your assigned judge. Ma'am, you have a very bad criminal history. All right, so go ahead and let her bond out on that one.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Did you
I'll
want to
take it.
speak to her? Or,
If I may, Judge, I'll just
Yeah.
call briefly.
all right, Ms. Gibbons, someone's gonna speak to you for just a moment. Do you,
Okay.
thank you. Tiffany Smith,
I think you wrote this because we put it on
No, this is what I'm calling you.
Yeah, I am just calling to speak to Ms. Givens.
oh, okay, thank you. Ms. Smith, you're being held on a charge of distributing
Yeah,
heroin,
I was
possession
calling
of
for appointment
heroin,
to speak to Ms., the one we were just doing, Kelly
prostitution, and
Givens.
violation of probation.
Thanks.
The court finds probable cause to detain you on the distribution charge. Your bond is $2,500, possession of heroin $1,000, prostitution $300. And on the violation of probation, ma'am, you're on a no bond hold pending your
Yeah, hi, Ms.
transport to
Givens.
Palm
I'm
Beach
calling
County,
from the
ma'am.
program. My name's Julie Chase. Why don't, you know, you don't have.
Sharnisha-
necessarily have to
Sharnisha
take
Newton?
that. We're gonna get appointed. We can get you in front of a division judge or even on a second look docket another day to see if it's a better offer, okay?
Ms. Newton, you're being held on a charge of distribution of heroin. The court finds probable cause to detain you.
Apologize,
What
but all
says
I can say
pretrial?
is that,
Your Honor, the defendant
you
declined
know, if you pull
pretrial.
out the gate, we can try to get you on a
indicated
second
she
look
was
docket or
posting
even
bond
in
with
front of a
over jail
division
bond.
judge that's gonna be.
All right, so ma'am, you're in the process of posting bond?
Doesn't make sense to plea it today.
Yes.
All right,
It's not
thank you,
gonna
ma'am.
be
Your
too
bond's $2,500. Tiara Humphrey.
All right, well, you're not gonna get out anyway, so the best thing to do is just sit tight and let's see if we can't get you on another docket, okay?
Ms. Humphrey is here at Maine, Judge. She's approaching.
All right, Ms. Humphrey, you're being held on a warrant for
You're gonna get a
violating your
date in front of the
probation.
regular judge,
Ma'am, you're
and
on, ma'am, you're on a no
also going
bond
to,
hold pending your appearance before
we
Judge
can try a second
Merrigan
look docket, okay?
next Tuesday, January 23rd at
I can't
8:45 in the
guarantee that,
morning.
but you're not getting out
Are
today,
you her
so let's
attorney,
try.
ma'am?
No, Your
Okay.
Honor, I'm actually waiting on another case.
All right,
Do
Okay,
apologize.
all right, fine.
It's the case you put on recall, Your Honor.
okay. What, from the city?
No, Susanna
Jermosin.
Jermosin on the from the domestics.
Oh, you're here for Mr. Padowitz?
Yes, Judge, I'm
Okay.
standing in Christina Cassie for the record.
All right, Susanna Germosen.
She's here at Maine, Judge. She's approaching. Come on up, ma'am.
Ma'am, you're being held on a warrant on 2 charges, felony domestic battery and stalking. The court finds probable cause on count 1. The court has insufficient documentation on count 2.
Your Honor, if I may approach, and I provided a copy to defense counsel. I have a copy of the information and a sworn report covering the stalking charge.
All right, let me see it. Counsel, what's your name, ma'am?
Christina Cassie, Your Honor. I'm standing in for Mr. Padowitz, who is attorney of record.
Thank you. The court notes that Ms. Germosen has 3 priors, one for the crime of perjury and also another one for battery by which she was convicted, actually domestic battery, convicted at jury trial.
And Your Honor, just so you know, she's being supervised by pretrial in 156818 CF 10 was placed on pretrial by Judge Merrigan, and
Okay.
that was in September of last year. So because this predates, we did not do a revocation.
wasn't a revocation.
Yes, Your Honor. That's the thing.
All right, the court finds probable causes to count 2 as well. All right, the court's going to set bond at $5,000 on each count for a total of $10,000.
Your Honor, would you consider placing Mr. Mosen back on pretrial?
Are you
She-
serious?
She does, well,
Are you
Judge,
serious? With 3 priors, a conviction for domestic battery, which is related to what we're here on today, a charge of perjury, she's on pretrial supervision for other charges, and now she has stalking and felony battery.
well, Judge, the reason I'm asking is because of Mr. Mosen's financial situation. I'm not quite sure she's going to be able to post that bond, Your Honor. I did have a chance to look at the PC without getting into the facts, Your Honor. You know, I don't want to minimize them. However, I do think in light of the relationship between the parties, I do feel that pretrial would be appropriate if Your Honor would be so inclined to do it.
The court declines that request, ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank
Judge.
you.
And the court said, I'm sorry, I did not hear, the court said no contact with the alleged victim on this?
No,
case?
not in this one, because again, if he was that concerned, he would have gotten a restraining order.
Okay, no problem, thank you.
Angelo Eugene?
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Miss Eugene?
She's here at main judge.
Miss Eugene, you're being held on a charge of battery on an officer, giving false identification and resisting an officer with violence. The court finds probable cause to detain you. Although the court does have concern for the reason for the initial stop in this case, it's not relevant when there's charges of violence. As a result, the court notes your 4 priors, ma'am. The court's going to set your bond at $500 on count 1, $100 on count 2, and $500 on count 3 for a total of $1,100, ma'am.
Judge, the only request, or 2 requests we have is, would you sign an order allowing her access to a phone so she can look for the contacts to contact her friends and family and post her bond? And 2,
Sure.
would you allow us to photograph her injuries? Judge?
Sure, not a problem.
Thank you, Judge.
Annette Ward?
Is this not even supposed to be on the docket?
Medical research, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I'm searching on medical loan. This is just on a warrant for pretrial violation. We'd ask if the court can make a determination.
Okay. Well, she's on a no bond hold pending her appearance before Judge Lynch. Amy Butler?
Morning.
Good morning, ma'am. You're being held on a charge of grand theft auto and 6 counts of violating probation. The court does find probable cause to detain you, ma'am. On the grand theft auto, your bond is $1,000. However, on the remaining charges, you're on a no bond hold pending your appearance before, I believe it's Judge Lynch. But it looks like there might be other, it might be other judges. Well, I have you Lynch, Porth, and a couple of others. So you're going to have to see your assigned judge, ma'am. Thank you.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. That's it for today. You're gonna have to see them first before we address the grand theft auto. Okay? Thank you, ma'am. Jamie Garrett?
She's here at main judge.
Ms. Garrett, you're being held on a warrant for violating probation. Ma'am, you're on a no bond hold pending your appearance before Judge Fine next week, January 26th at 8:45 in the morning, ma'am. Ma'am, are you ready to proceed on the 2 North cases?
Yes, Judge.
Okay.
I will say,
Let me recall, Kelly Givens, at North, please.
Hello?
All right, the offer was 13 days, or the capious amount, which the court cannot touch, is $250.
Okay, now is that 13 days with credit for 2 days that I have?
Whatever time you have, you would get credit for, ma'am.
Okay, so I would do 11 days.
If you had 2 days in, you're correct.
Okay. All right, I'll go ahead and take that.
All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, let's move on to Ms. Johnson.
Okay.
All right, and did you have an opportunity to speak to Ms. Johnson?
I did, Judge. I mean, I, at this point, have some concerns too in my speaking with her as far as her ability to take that resolution. I advised her not to do so.
Okay. Ma'am, do you still want to resolve this case, or do you want to see your assigned judge?
I
And I-
still like resolve it.
All right, the court will accept in 39 days credit for time served, any time that's already served. Thank you, ma'am.
I go home in 39 more days.
It'll be, no, ma'am, it'll be less than that, because you've already spent some time in, and then if you behave, they'll give you some credit for that too. Okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Kevin Penson?
Conti, Your Honor.
Mr. Penson, this is an capias for failing to appear on a charge of battery. Sir, I've reviewed your paperwork on this. It appears you were in custody. No, actually, this was January of last year, not January of this year. Okay, let me take that back. All right.
We do show that he was in custody at the time.
Oh, a year ago he was in custody? Okay, because I saw that he's been in custody a while. All right, the court is going to ROR you on the capias, but I believe you're being held on other matters, so you're due to see your assigned judge here in 2 days, I guess on Friday at 9 o'clock in the morning, sir. Okay?
Your Honor,
Pre-trial on the other charges.
I don't know anything about the other charges. I only know about this one today. This is for a misdemeanor battery that they say you didn't appear on a year ago.
and Your Honor, I mean, I believe the court had that correct. This capias was issued, I'm showing,
Well, that's what I just asked, and they said a
no.
year ago,
yeah,
January of 2017, he was in custody.
I checked, Your Honor. I'm showing his last arrest, he was arrested 12/16 of 2017. His last arrest before that was March 18th of 2016, and he was released March 20th of 2016. There's nothing in BSO PICS to indicate he was in Broward custody on January 9th.
Confinement status have something different?
I'm checking right now.
Okay. All right, we'll get right back to you in just a second. Let me move on to Mr. DeGoria. That is correct again, okay.
Mr. DeGroria is here present, Judge, at Maine.
Okay. All right. Mr. DeGoria, you're being held on a capias for failing to appear on.
He's here at Maine, Judge.
Oh, thank you. Failing to appear on 2 misdemeanor charges. Sir, you have dealing with trespass. You have 2 options today. If you want to resolve these charges, the court notes your 7 priors. In exchange for a plea of no contest, the court will adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 6 days, credit for any time served, or you can come back and test the charge by posting bond at $250. You are due to see your assigned judge this Friday at 9 o'clock in the morning, sir. If that helps you make your.
One second, Judge.
Sure.
Judge, respectfully, Mr. DeGoria appreciates your offer, but he informed me that he's gonna post his monetary bond at $500.
All righty, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let me back up one more time to Mr. Penson. All right, Mr. Penson, confinement status has advised me that they were incorrect. You were not in custody in January 2017, so your bond on this charge is $1,000, but you are still due to see your assigned judge this Friday at 9 o'clock in the morning, sir.
I had no knowledge of that charge. I never knew I had a court date for that. I was never arrested on that charge.
You can address it with your judge when you see your judge on Friday. Thank you, sir. All right, Bradley Gross. Mr. Gross, you're being held on a warrant for failing to appear on a charge of driving while license suspended. You're also being held on a writ of arrest for failing to pay child support. Child support amount is $40. That must be cash. It cannot be bonded. The court does find probable cause on for the charge of driving while license suspended. So on that charge, if you want to resolve it today in exchange for a plea of no contest, the court will adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 3 days, or you can come back and contest the charge by posting bond of $500. What would you like to do, sir?
Mr. Gross, does not want to resolve his case today on count 1 today.
Okay,
Judge is going to be contacting his parents to post his monetary bond. Judge, he did inform me on count 1 he was not aware, he missed court, it wasn't willful from what he's telling me. Judge, considering on count 2 it's child support, purge amount $340, would your honor consider lowering the bond or RO on count 1 so that all their monetary funds could go towards the purge of the child support?
my understanding of Florida statutes is that the minimum bond for failing to appear is $2,000. So I'm not sure how we only got $500 for failing to appear. Your request is denied, sir. Timothy Kylo.
Mr. Carlos here at Maine.
Mr. Kylo, you're here on a charge of trespass. The court finds probable cause to detain you, sir. Sir, the court notes you have 52 priors. If you want to resolve this charge today in exchange for a plea of no contest, the court will adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 18 days, or you can come back and test the charge by posting bond of $25. What would you like to do, sir?
Let me ask him, Judge.
Are you here for Mr. Shape by any chance? Okay. You'll be next. Spanish and Portuguese, okay.
Judge, Mr. Carlos says he wishes to accept the court's offer.
All right, adjudication 18 days. Credit for any time served. Thank you. Jacqueline LeBright, recall of Miss LeBright.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Miss LeBright. You're being held on a charge, actually a municipal ordinance violation for loitering, 2 counts of loitering out of the city of Hollywood. The court finds probable cause. The court notes your 31 priors. You have 2 options today, ma'am. If you want to resolve this today in exchange for a plea of no contest, the court will adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to Ma'am, let me finish.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sentence you to 14 days in the county jail. Credit for any time you've already served. That sentence will run concurrent. Or you can bond out, come back and contest the charge by posting bond of $200. Did the appointed public defender want to, or municipal public defender want to be heard?
Yes, Your Honor. Steve Plant for her SPD. Mr. Shate, would you like to resolve your case, ma'am, or post the bond of $200?
I don't wanna do any time, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, okay. Well, then, I can't say when she'll see a judge on this, because this is actually a South Satellite case, so it'll have to be transferred here. I'm not sure how quickly that happens anymore. Does the clerk know when they're IC for satellite? You don't know?
Judge, can I advise her? It's gonna be more than 14 days, which is really like 10 days. It's gonna be a while before you go in front of a judge. So if you can't post the $200 bond, you should definitely accept the offer.
Okay, then I will, I guess.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, any time you've served on the original or these fall up will be credited now. Thank you.
What do you say?
14, I always write it in the little margin. Menelik Thomas, or Menelik Thomas?
Mr. Thomas is here present, Judge, at Maine.
Mr. Thomas, you're being held on a charge of simple battery. The court does find probable cause to detain you. Sir, until further order of the court, you can have absolutely no contact with Danica Tulloch. The court notes, sir, your 26 priors. As a result, the court's going to set your bond and count one at $5,000, sir.
Judge, I just asked you to consider, Mr. Thomas did advise me, unfortunately, at this time he is homeless. What he does is he's self-employed. Whenever somebody needs help moving, that's where he tries to be hired. He makes, his average fluctuates, he can make about $100 a week. He's been here almost his whole entire life. Judge, what you can, $5,000 for him, he's not gonna be able to afford. Would you consider setting a bond since it's a misdemeanor offense of $100?
The request is denied.
Thank you, Judge.
Brandon Hamrick. Mr. Hamrick, you're being held on a warrant for violating probation. Sir, Judge Evans has set you a bond at $2,000, and you are due to see him on Friday at 9 o'clock in the morning, sir.
Good luck, Judge.
Greg Grove. Mr. Grove, you're being held on a capias for failing to appear in drug court before Judge Zeller. She has given you a bond of $2,000, but you are due to see her tomorrow at 1:30 in the afternoon.
Judge, would you consider resolving this case for time served today?
In all honesty, in drug court, no. He's going to have to see Judge Zeller.
Thanks, Judge.
Did the public defender give you these ahead of time? You're not having to fill these out, are you?
I'm
Okay.
working to get it done as fast as I can.
Okay. Tremont Florence.
He's here, President Judge and Maine.
Mr. Florence, you're being held on a charge of possession of cannabis. The court finds probable cause to detain you, so your bond is $100.
Judge, would you considering this cannabis charge, he's currently employed, he works for Coca-Cola, would you consider an ROR on this nonviolent offense?
He has 11 priors. The request is denied. Cesar Suarez Vezga.
Mr. Suarez, I've been advised bonded.
Okay, good. That makes that easy. Luis Quintanilla.
He's here, President Maine.
Sir, you're being held on a charge of DUI over a .15. The court does find probable cause to detain you. Give me just a moment, sir. What says pretrial?
Your Honor, I show no prior record of this defendant. However, we were unable to verify his information. He couldn't remember any phone numbers or.
Well, with a cell phone anymore, I can't even remember my mother's phone number anymore. Unfortunately. Mr. Quintanilla, do you work, sir?
I do, sir.
What type of work do you do, sir?
Home Depot manager.
Okay. I'm gonna release him to pretrial supervision, general conditions. So pretrial officer will meet you before you're released. Make sure you follow all their instructions until your case is resolved, or else you may be picked back up and taken into custody, sir, okay? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mack?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for having that, that's good. So I'm with the Public Defender's Office, were you planning on hiring?
Claudio Vasconcelos Filho.
Have an attorney from our office represent you. Okay.
Sir, you're being held on a charge of possession of cannabis. The court finds probable cause to detain you. The court notes your 6 priors, sir. Your bond is $100, sir.
Good luck, sir.
Okay, open, okay. Are you working? Are you working? Mobile detailing?
Vincent Swan.
Okay, how long have you lived in Broward County?
Who's that?
Mr. Swan, you're being held on a charge of trespass. The court finds probable cause to detain you. Sir, the court notes your 19
Any children or
priors.
anything that you
Sir,
take
you
care of?
have 2 options today. If you want to resolve this today in exchange for a plea of no contest, the court will adjudicate you
Provide
guilty.
support? Okay, how
Sentence
much
you to
would
7
say your
days.
monthly income is?
credit for any time you've already served, or you can come back and test the charge by posting bond of $25. What would you like to do, sir?
Plead, no contest.
All right, thank you, sir. Oops, I forgot to sign that. Isaiah White,
Bond you out at the 1,000 then. I mean, the other option is to ask the judge to put you on pretrial release, but you have to have a verifiable
Where's
address,
Mr.
otherwise
White?
It's not gonna help you.
I've been informed,
I
Judge.
mean,
He's in regular court, room number 6750 on page 4.
is that Judge Howery?
that's what you're at. Bond is set at $1,000
Okay.
right now. What do you want it lowered to?
All right, so I guess this will reset for tomorrow,
If you
Mr.
can't afford
White.
1,000, then what are you saying you'd want it lowered
Christian
to?
Rollins,
Mr. Rollins, come on up. He's approaching, Judge. He's the Fund Service Public Defender.
Problem is that
do you have an attorney, Mr. Rollins?
cash bond,
Well, yes, I have an
and then you
attorney,
can't
but,
really use bonds,
I
so
don't,
you have to
I
come
have
up
to
with
get in
$100
contact with.
anyway. If you have a
Do you know what
bondsman,
the attorney's name?
You can.
Yes, his name
pay
is Nick, but
$100
I
with the
don't know
bondsman.
his last name.
It's Nick, okay.
So.
All right, sir, well, you're being held on a charge of aggravated battery causing bodily harm and a capias for failing to appear in a misdemeanor case. Sir, the court finds probable cause to detain you. Until further order of the court, you can have absolutely no contact with Paco Miranda. The court notes that you have 14 priors, that you are currently out on release on case 17-2445 MM4OA, that you have failed to appear on 17-4303 MO4OA. As a result, on the aggravated battery charge, sir, the court's gonna set your bond at $10,000.
Contacts to get the number?
Okay, sir. I also want
Is
to
your
ask you
number
a
in
question.
your telephone, which
I'm
is in
here.
your property?
What's up?
Okay, so you don't have a phone to get in touch with them? You don't have an.
Am I eligible for pretrial release?
No, you are not. But,
Okay.
thank you,
What
sir.
exactly are you
Randy Gibson?
All right.
Gibson, come on up.
Mr. Gibson, you're being held on a charge of possession of heroin. The court finds probable cause to detain you, sir. Note your 17 priors.
Okay,
Your
so you're
bond is
asking for pretrial, then
$1,000,
you're
sir.
gonna give him an address,
George Campbell.
right? Okay. All right, thank you.
No
Bye.
problem, Judge.
Mr. Gellin, are you only on Mr. Carter, or are you on somebody else too?
I have Courtney Alexander,
Oh, I don't have that one.
and then we have an agreed order with the state on something else where a woman was picked up on a pretrial violation warrant where the case was no info. So we'd like you to
Just a
handle
few
that too,
moments.
please.
I saw somebody. Mr. Campbell, sir, you're being held on a charge of possession of cocaine. The court finds probable cause to detain you, sir. I note your 3 priors, and I note you are currently on release in case 17-10777 MM10A. So result, sir, the court's gonna set your bond at $1,000. And I'm sorry, did you say you had an agreed order on a female?
Yeah,
Because
what happened is,
I have finished with the females.
no, what happened was this case was no info and there was a pretrial warrant that wasn't properly disposed of. So they picked her up, but we verified everything. If you could just sign the order, because
Okay, if you
she's,
fill out the order. and
Yeah, it was no
state it's
info, yeah.
Venable, I'll be happy to sign it.
thank you, Judge.
Let me move on to Rocharlins Joseph. All right, Mr. Joseph, you're being held for Broward on a charge of defrauding a financial institution, fraudulent use of someone else's ID, and grand theft. You have a bond of $5,500. However, you're also being held without bond because you're actually on loan from St. Lucie County, sir. So you're going to have to see your assigned judge here, and then when you're finished, be transported back to St. Lucie County.
Good luck, sir.
James Lester.
Mr. Lester is here. Main Judge, he's approaching.
Okay. Mr. Lester, you're being held on a charge of possession of drug paraphernalia, possession of cannabis, 2 counts of fleeing with disregard to safety of others, reckless driving, and driving on a suspended license. The court finds probable cause to detain you, sir. What says pretrial on this?
I show no prior record on this defendant.
All right, sir, I'm gonna release you on count 1, 2, 5, and 6 bonds each of $100, count 3 and 4 at 500 and 500. That's a total of $1,400, but you will also be placed on general condition pretrial supervision once you are released, sir. And that's based on the nature of count 3 and 4. Okay. Courtney Alexander,
Yes, Judge, thank you.
I thought I saw another one in here for you.
Well, Mr. Clunas is in custody. I represent him on something else, apparently. But,
I think. On,
22.
okay.
Today's the,
Mr. Hudson is here present.
That may be where I saw it, when I looked at his record and I saw that you were his attorney.
You're Alexander, please.
Courtney Alexander. Sir, you're being held on a charge of giving false identification to law enforcement officer, possession of a weapon by a convicted felon, possession of cannabis, driving while license suspended as a habitual violator, and attaching an unassigned registration. The court finds probable cause to detain you. The court notes your 12 priors. Mr. Jellin, did you want to be heard, sir?
the issue is whose car is it? Again, there's factual concerns whether or not that weapon was in plain view or not. I understand that the cannabis would give a right to search and the bad tag would cause a problem, would make the stop legal. And we're not here to litigate that, but the issue is whose gun is it, because that's the most serious charge, and whose car is it, which there's no information in the police report that I did read quickly as to
I
whether or
don't
not.
think he's charged with anything dealing with the automobile.
No, my issue is whose car is it? If it's somebody else's car and their gun, then certainly there's some mitigation here. Particularly if factually, if that gun was not exactly where the police officer put it.
Well, the 12 priors that I have are just local, and I understand from the review that he also has a record in the state of Arizona.
That, it denotes that's where the conviction is from. So,
Right.
again, that also is a little tricky because we have to be able to look at the elements and level them up, apples to apples, et cetera.
Okay.
So at this point, I would argue there's no probable cause on the gun with the convicted felon aspect, because that, unless Mr. Linder has some proof that he's a Florida convicted felon. And if not, I would ask for the no PC on that charge and standard bonds on the rest,
All right.
Judge.
Does the state want to be heard?
Your Honor, he doesn't have to be a convicted felon out of the state of Florida. There's Florida statute covering.
I understand that. The question is, what do you have? Do you have something on the NCIC? Do you have something
One moment, Your Honor.
that shows the Arizona charge?
I guess my point is if you have a Florida conviction, then my argument on that part is
Yeah.
kaput. That's a legal term.
The officer said it was from March of 2006.
One moment, Your Honor.
While he's looking at that, on count 1, the bond is 100, count 3, 100, count 4, 750, and count 5, $25.
May I approach with this agreed order, Judge? Sure. It's one Mr. Linder and I are agreeing on. Christina, who I have our opinions, the name is where the charge is known, but for whatever reason, the pretrial law wasn't disposed of. Oh, sorry, do you want this? This is the no.
Did you want this back?
Sure.
Bill, why don't we, you know what? Maybe in abundance of caution, Your Honor, could we keep the paperwork that's presented to you with just with the copy of the court's
Oh,
order?
you want the no info back?
Just
I
so
think
if
they're
it's,
saying it's stapled.
if there's a review, then then they'll see what
Okay.
was given to the court.
Oh, sorry, Aaron.
Right, do you have anything to add on the Arizona charge, counsel?
Your Honor, I'm not showing anything in our system, so I have no
Okay.
objection to the no PC at this time.
All right, so do you want to try to perfect or no?
No, Your Honor, I'm not going to ask for any time.
Okay. So it's going to be ROR on count 2. So it's
And I'm sorry, what was count one, Judge? That was this false
False
name?
ID.
Okay, great.
to 950, 975 is your bond, sir.
$975 total?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Judge. Thank
All
you.
right, Brandon Hudson. When either Spanish or Portuguese show up, let me know.
Hudson is present here.
Mr. Hudson, sir, you're being held on a warrant for aggravated battery causing bodily harm. The court finds probable cause to detain you, sir. The court notes you have more than 80 priors in your record. Till further order of the court, there can be absolutely no contact with Amelia Rip. So the court is going to set your bond at $10,000. If you're able to bond out, the court is going to put you under supervision of pretrial release with a highest level monitor based on the allegations set forth in the probable cause affidavit. as well as attached to the warrant, the court has concern for the safety of Ms. Rip. That's all.
Judge, respectfully,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hudson, he informed me he's been living in our community his whole entire life. He's 33 years old. He is working. He works in construction. He gets approximately $14.75 an hour. He lives with his mom. His mom is the person who's going to be defending and post his bond. She's a health aide. From what he informed me, what he believes she can afford is about $2,500. Judge, consider it you're placing him on pretrial level 1, basically house arrest. Would you consider reducing the monetary bond from what you said to $2,500 along with the pretrial?
Does the state want to be heard?
Your Honor, based on the level of violence alleged and alleged harm done to the alleged victim, Your Honor, I believe the bond the court said is appropriate.
I just, and I'll say, I think this needs to go before the assigned judge, which I don't think is going to be Judge Cohen, if I'm not mistaken, because I don't think it's technically a domestic. So I'm not sure who the judge is on this one.
When our case filers look at, depending on the
And you're
information
going to have
that
to
comes
bring
out.
that up to the assigned judge, okay?
Okay, Judge, the other issue then.
Hold on,
would
could you hold just,
consider level 2 as opposed
could you hold on just a second? Confinement status wants to be heard. Okay. Thank you. All right, go ahead.
Judge, our last request is, I know the court mentioned as far as over 80 contacts with the criminal justice system. Mr. Hudson did inform me a lot of those contacts he was acquitted on. I'd ask you to take those not into account, the ones that ultimately were either dismissed or he was found not guilty or no cause for whatever reason. Judge, also, I'd ask you at this time, I know Your Honor said level 1, would you consider level 2 with the monitor so that he can still continue to work?
Not at this time. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Mack, Antoine Mack.
North Brown, John.
All right, Mr. Mack, you're being held on a charge of grand theft. The court does find probable cause to detain you, sir. The court notes your 9 priors. However, based on the allegation of what was stolen, the court's going to reduce your bond, sir, to $500.
Okay.
Rodney Brown.
He's here at Maine.
Mr. Brown, you're being held on warrants for violating community control. The court does find probable cause to detain you, sir. You're on a no bond hold pending your appearance before Judge Tobin Singer. You're due to see her Monday at 9 o'clock in the morning, sir. Matthew Jordan.
He's here at Maine as well.
Mr. Jordan, you're being held on a warrant for violating community control. Sir, you're on a no bond hold pending your appearance before Judge Usan on Monday at 9 o'clock in the morning, sir. Orlando Curlew.
Here at Maine.
Mr. Curlew, you're being held on a charge of resisting an officer without violence, giving false identification, fleeing and eluding, and actually a warrant for fleeing and eluding, and a warrant for resisting an officer without violence, and also a warrant for violating probation. So you're on a no bond hold on the VOP. On the other charges, your bond is $1,300. Sir, you're due to see Judge Bailey on Monday morning at 9 o'clock, sir. Raymond Johnson.
Mr. Johnson, come on up.
You gave, on Mr. Curlew, you gave me 2 orders for this. Did you need 2 orders?
There was nothing on.
Oh, well, they have the same case number.
That's what I mean.
So when it says case number, it's arrest number?
Truth.
All right, I'll let you guys deal with that. Mr. Jackson, you're being held on a warrant for violating your probation. Sir, you're on a no bond hold pending your appearance before Judge Backman Monday morning at 8 o'clock. He starts bright and early, it looks like.
Judge, Mr. Johnson's inquiring if the court can, with the violations.
Oh,
Yeah, I emailed it.
well, he knows what the underlying, he knows why he was placed on probation, correct? Actually, I remember looking this up on, it was for failing to be where he was supposed to be at a time he was supposed to be there. That's the best I can, because I don't have a,
Thank you, Judge.
yeah. Dwayne Esteni. Mr. Esteni, you're being held on a charge of grand theft and uttering a false instrument, and you're also being held on a bond surrender on the battery and assault charge. Sir, the court finds probable cause to detain you. On the battery and assault charge, the court's just going to reimpose the original bond of $3,000. The two new charges, the court finds probable cause to detain you. Sir, the bond on each count will be $1,000. So your total bond at this point, sir, is $5,000. Joseph Clementi.
Mr. Clementi. If Mr. Clementi is approaching, he declined to serve as public defender.
Mr. Clementi, you're being held on a charge of possession of cocaine. The court finds probable cause to detain you, sir. Sir, the court notes your 9 priors. As the result, the court's going to keep your bond at $1,000, sir. Thank you. Gary DeMond.
Mr. DeMond?
Mr. DeMond, you're being held on a charge of felony petty theft, as well as capias for failing to appear on 2 felony matters, and also warrants for violating probation and violating community control. The court finds probable cause to detain you. On the new charge of felony petty theft, your bond is $750. On the remaining charges, you are on a no bond hold pending your appearance before Judge Tobin Singer. Next week appears to be Wednesday, January 24th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, sir. Thank you. Matthew Francis.
I believe he's on medical loan.
I believe medical loan.
Okay. Anthony Sawyer.
He's here, Maine.
Mr. Sawyer, you're being held on a charge of distribution of cocaine and 2 counts of violating probation. The court does find probable cause to detain you, sir. On the new charge, your bond is $2,500. On the violation of probation, you're due to see Judge Tobin Singer tomorrow, it looks like, at 9 o'clock in the morning, sir.
Good luck, sir.
Travis Bradford.
He's here, Maine.
Mr. Bradford, you're being held on a warrant for violating probation. Sir, you're on a no bond hold pending your appearance before Judge Rothschild. Monday, January 22nd at 8:30 in the morning, sir.
Good luck.
Robert Kaminsky.
No problem, John.
Mr. Kaminsky, you're being held on a warrant for violating probation, and you're also on an out-of-state hold for the state of Pennsylvania. Sir, on the hold for the state of Pennsylvania, they have you on a no bond hold pending extradition back to Pennsylvania. On the violation of probation, sir, you're on a no bond hold pending your appearance before Judge Malika. She has you set for Wednesday, January 24th at 1:30 in the afternoon, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Courtney Carter.
Carter's here, Maine, Judge.
Mr. Carter, you're being held on a charge of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. The court finds probable cause to detain you. So the court notes your 36 priors. The court notes you are currently on release in case 17-10051, charge of resisting an officer before Judge Pohl. The court having found probable cause that you have committed a crime while on pretrial release on case 17-10051, COCE, whatever Judge Pohl's division number is, I forget. Pursuant to Florida Statute 903.0471, the court hereby revokes your release. You will be held on that charge without bond pending further order of Judge Pohl. On the new charge, aggravated assault, the court is going to order no contact with William Johnson. The court is going to place you on pretrial supervision with an electronic monitor. Condition is a posting of a $5,000 bond. Does pretrial have any questions?
Is he permitted to work?
Actually, on this one, I didn't make a little note. Let's see. At this point, no. He's going to have to see his assigned judge, and the state's going to have to prepare that order.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Respectfully, and speaking, Mr. Carter, he's been here his whole life. He's 38 years old. He's working in landscaping. He's been doing that for about 3 years now. He makes approximately $350 per week. Judge, I do understand as far as on the new law offense, you said a $5,000 bond. From what he advised me, there's no way he's gonna be able to afford to post that. Considering as a no bond hold, you revoked it on 17-10051, would your honor consider lowering the bond from $5,000 to $1,000 and signing a photo order so we could photograph Mr. Carter's injuries that he sustained?
I will be happy to sign that last order, but as to the rest, he's going to have to see his assigned judge, because based on this record, I think actually it's quite generous. Dalmani Clunas.
Mr. Clunas is here.
Good morning, sir. Sir, you're being held on a charge of driving while license suspended as a habitual offender. The court finds probable cause to detain you, sir. The court notes you have 11 priors, that you are currently out on release on case 17-3153 CF 10A. The court also notes pursuant to the probable cause affidavit that you failed to stop upon the officer's request and that you had basically engaged the officers in a pursuit. As a result, the court having found probable cause that you have committed a crime while on pretrial release, your release in case 17-3153 CF 10A before Judge Howery is hereby revoked. You will be held without bond on the charge of possession of cocaine pursuant to Florida Statute 903.0471, pending further order of Judge Howery. On the new charge, sir, your bond is $750.
Judge, considering on the case that he's currently out on, you found probable cause. What we're asking you to do at this time is, instead of holding him no bond, which is the most severe pretrial detention order this court can impose, we'd ask you to at this time consider something less restrictive, placing him on pretrial, a level 2, so that he could go to and from work and not lose his employment, Judge.
What's my understanding of the statute, that the only option the court has is to either revoke the bond or not revoke the bond. And then if I revoke the bond, the only option I have under the statute is to hold him without bond. So
Judge, then in the alternative,
and then it would go back to the original judge to put the conditions on and reduce this. That's why I said pending further order of Judge Howery. Okay?
Would your honor consider not taking any action and leave it for the division judge?
I would have, but for the allegations in this probable cause affidavit. Thank you. Elliot Andrews. I usually don't revoke on a DWLS habitual.
Mr. Andrews is here at Main approaching.
Mr. Andrews, you're being held on 2 warrants for violating your probation. Sir, you're on a no bond hold pending your appearance before Judge Barbara McCarthy, Monday, January 22nd at 8:30 in the morning, sir. Tavon Evans Elisius.
Medical research, Your Honor.
Okay. Marvin Geralt Lopez.
Conti?
Conti. Mr. Lopez, you're being held, these are 2 additional charges. Attempted robbery with a weapon and armed robbery with a weapon and mask. Sir, the court does find probable cause to detain you on these charges. Court notes that these are changes of charge. Originally, we were being held without bond. On these new charges, the court will set the following conditions. I believe he's still being held without bond on count 1.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So this is probably an exercise in futility going through this, but I have to. Count 2 and 3, no contact with the alleged victims. Bond on each count at $10,000.
Your Honor?
Yes?
On count 3, we'd actually be asking that the no bond be kept in place. It's actually an up file because of the mask enhancement, but it's still charged, filed as a robbery with a firearm.
So the jail, instead of doing HG, they should have done NB?
I believe so.
Yeah. Does confinement status agree?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so count 3 is still an NB. Count 2 then would be $10,000 bond, no contact with the alleged victims. Okay?
All right.
And then you're still going to have to see your assigned judge, Mr. Lopez.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Kurt Kuhn. I have no paperwork on the COC.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Please.
May I, This is actually an order signed by his judge, RORing him on this count with the appropriate charge on the order. Burglary of a dwelling.
Well, that's what I said. And again, this is the wonders of confinement status. They have this as a 19th count that he's being held on.
Yeah, Your Honor, if I may, the reason
Is there
being-
more than one case?
There's more than one case. There are charges that were no info. There were other change of charges. So when he was originally arrested, this was the 19th charge he was booked on.
So what judge is this? I don't recognize the
It's,
signature.
I believe it's Dennis Bailey, but if I
Judge
can have one
Bailey?
moment, I can confirm that.
And are you saying that Judge Bailey wants him to be ROR'd on this charge?
That's what the order says there, and
Okay,
it's the same
then-
case number.
Then
so.
that's it. Is Mr. Kuhn even there?
I
Actually,
think he should be
I'm flipping back. Is he in North?
might be a Paul Ryan. No, he was at Paul Ryan last week.
I don't see him. He doesn't, the guy at North doesn't match the picture, so, okay, but since it's an ROR, let's just get it done.
He's at Paul
Okay.
Ryan. But
All right, what about Michael James?
No charge, Your Honor.
All right. And Mr. James, this is the companion to the prior case, so I'm guessing it's the same issue on count 3,
yes, Judge.
an enhancement. Okay. All right, Mr. James, this is to advise you on the charges you're being held on. The charge of robbery with a firearm has been changed to attempted robbery with a weapon, and the second charge of robbery with a firearm has been changed to armed robbery wearing a mask. The court finds probable cause on each charge. On count 2, your bond is set at $10,000. Your bond on count 1 remains none as a no bond hold. Count 3, no bond. No contact with the victims as a condition on count 2. Sir, you're going to have to see your assigned judge, Barbara McCarthy. Eric Farley,
He is in, downtown court.
downtown court, okay. Okay. So I have as just Miss Uryu, we're waiting for the Portuguese interpreter that I think will be here in like 20 minutes, and we're still waiting on the Spanish interpreter for Mr. Vida.
Correct.
Okay.
And I believe,
Español está aquí ahora. How are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
Good. Mr. Vida, the Spanish interpreter is here.
Mr. Reed is approaching.
Mr. Vida, this is to advise you, sir,
Señor Vida, es para aconsejarle, señor,
that you're being held without bond
que usted ha sido detenido sin fianza,
pending your transport to the state of Louisiana.
pendiendo su transporte al estado de Luisiana.
Sir, they will have up to 30 days to arrange for that transport.
Ellos van a tener 30 días para obtener ese transporte.
That's all for today, sir.
Eso es todo por hoy, señor.
Thank you.
Gracias.
And I think that's all we have for the
right.
Spanish interpreter. Unless you want to do Portuguese.
No.
Nope? Okay.
No taking.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Take
Have
care.
a good day, Judge.
Bye-bye. Do we have a special docket now of any kind that we can get started on? Nope. Was that set for the afternoon? Because I got something from the public defender on RORs, but I guess that's on the afternoon docket?
Yes, Judge.
All right, I guess we can sit patiently for the Portuguese interpreter. All right, Jill, it's going to be probably another 20 minutes. I was advised the Portuguese interpreter doesn't come in until 10 o'clock, so it's only 9:40 for Ms. Dos Santos. Okay?
Okay, sir.
And I'm gonna step off the bench and take the bench back at 10 o'clock. Are you
Yes,
folks
sir.
here for the 10 o'clock? Or are you just observing? Okay. Did you have any questions? Why are you observing? Are you in school, or is it there's somebody that was in custody and you were interested to find out what was going to happen? Oh, okay. Well, I have a tendency to move fast, so sorry. Some people appreciate it, and some don't, but
He's in court. He's probably getting arraigned on this today.
Yeah, well, I come in at like 6:30 in the
No,
morning
and it's
when
an
I
easy
have to
one.
do
If- I
first
mean, I don't know
appearance.
if you looked at the paper.
And usually I'm here
Yeah, yeah,
before the
he'll be
work
back
is here
tomorrow,
from
but
the
I don't know if you looked
clerk.
at the paperwork
And
again.
I guess because the work's usually here
It's
about
a stupid
7.
change of charge. They
So I get my
misspoke. When he
computer
was
started
arrested, it was
upstairs and
they
everything, and then I come and get
And
the
that's why,
paperwork
and
and
Judge
go and
Orlando
I
crossed out
review
the-
everything up there.
So he's gonna be back tomorrow.
So I already know everything about the case pretty much, unless it's something odd that I'm missing paperwork or something like that. Many judges don't do that, even though when I train new judges coming in, I try to tell them to be here at 7 to review the paperwork, but for many of them, it's hard to do that. They can't get out of the bed, so. Mhm. You're not my Portuguese interpreter, are you?
No.
Okay. I'm trying to make everyone the Portuguese interpreter. I just have this feeling that the. Take care. Good luck in your training. I guess I could go upstairs. I mean, 15 minutes, I can sign 6 or 7 things. What did I do? I lost my screen. Since it was my ruling.
Well, I just know you got up to go upstairs.
Well, I've got stuff I can do upstairs. I'm actually,
I know.
all of a sudden, I'm
Just like to ask first.
with some of our judges out. And a lot of them have been hit with the sickness
Yeah, there's
that
definitely
everybody
something
else
going
is
around.
getting. All right, I'll be back shortly.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And it's funny how they are.
I will be back Wednesday. Yeah. Right. Are you cold or you?
Yeah, I'm still congested.
Do you? Feel better.
Well, enjoy. See you this afternoon. Probably. If I don't see you this afternoon, enjoy your.
Thank you. Thank you. you. Oh, I know, or people are 85, 90, they go, what am I gonna do this for? I shouldn't be here, right? Yes. I don't know if you, see if she had, I have, I know he did. I'll bring him up, I'll bring him up. I'll bring him up. I have this one. And this was from yesterday, it was a violation.
Okay.
Just if you just wanna, I don't know if you want this.
Yeah.
But I know,
Okay. Yeah.
don't worry about it, I'll bring it up.
Thank you.
You have to go to 11, even if you go, just don't worry about it. I might
Okay.
go upstairs, I'll just put them on my desk for you.
Perfect. If I don't come back today, I'll pick them up tomorrow.
Okay, they'll be on my desk,
Thank you.
no problem, see you.
Bye. was waiting for a TV. They were not ready yet, so I came here first. Sorry, you need it?
Anytime Dos Santos. Uriu Dos Santos. There's nothing there. There's nothing.
All right, is Ms. Uriu Dos Santos there?
Judge, she's here, me.
Okay, we have the Portuguese interpreter now. Mr. Santos, you're being held on a charge of failing to remain at an accident scene involving serious injury.
Senhora Santos, então a senhora está detida com base na acusação que a senhora não parou e não permaneceu no acidente que envolveu ferimentos sérios.
The court finds probable cause to detain you on this charge.
E a corte julga que existe causa provável para mantê-la detida por essa acusação.
What's this pretrial?
My God.
The court is very concerned,
A corte está muito preocupada
having reviewed in detail
após haver revisado em detalhes
the investigating officer's affidavit
a documentação apresentada pelo oficial que fez a investigação.
that in addition to this charge,
E além dessa acusação,
Mr. Santos engaged in a pattern
a senhora dos Santos participou
of deception
fez decepções,
in an effort to avoid responsibility for this
enganos
charge.
para tentar evitar ser acusada, a responsabilidade por essa acusação.
The court is also concerned with the short amount of time that she has been in this country.
A corte também está preocupada com o tempo curto que ela está nesse país,
That she has ties to Brazil,
que ela tem conexões com o Brasil,
to which she could return
para o qual ela poderia voltar
without facing this charge.
sem ter que estar face a face com essas acusações.
Well, it says it's on. Yeah, but it's not on.
Sorry, I have laryngitis. I shouldn't even be here. I'm like,
Well, I'm
oh
glad
my
you're
God.
here, but I apologize for that.
No, like, I
Do you
was,
folks have the number for the court report? Because my thing says it's on, but the blue guy's not on. Oh, thank you. Hey, Patrick? It's Judge Lee. Listen, we're in session and I can't get the, I thought the system was on and someone just pointed out to me that the blue guy's off. Yeah. All right, thank you. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to do that all over again because it didn't get recorded.
oh, okay, not a problem.
Okay, could you just let her know that we're gonna have to start again because,
Ok, senhora, nós vamos ter que reiniciar porque não estávamos gravando. Vamos ter que fazer tudo de novo.
okay. All right, again, Ms. Dos Santos, you're being held on the charge of failing to remain at the scene of an accident involving serious injury.
Ok, senhora dos Santos, então a senhora está sendo detida porque a senhora não parou, não permaneceu num acidente que envolveu ferimentos graves.
The court finds probable cause to detain you.
A corte julga haver causa provável para mantê-la detida.
The court is concerned after having reviewed the investigating officer's affidavit
E a corte está preocupada após haver avaliado a documentação apresentada pelo oficial que fez a investigação,
that Ms. Dos Santos engaged in a pattern of deception
que a senhora dos Santos participou de padrão, né? Seguiu um padrão enganoso
to hide her involvement in this matter.
para esconder o seu envolvimento nesse assunto.
When I consider that, along with her ties to Brazil,
E quando eu considero isso juntamente com as suas conexões com o Brasil
and the short amount of time she has lived here,
e o tempo breve que ela mora aqui,
the court is concerned that she may return to Brazil without facing this charge.
a corte está preocupada que ela volte para o Brasil sem enfrentar essas acusações.
The court is going to impose the following conditions of release.
A corte vai impor as seguintes condições para a sua libertação.
The court, I'm going to put her on pretrial supervision.
Vou colocá-la na em supervisão pré-julgamento.
She is entitled to work.
Ela tem o direito a trabalhar.
A bond in the amount of $5,000.
Uma fiança no valor de $5.000.
Surrender the passport.
Entregar seu passaporte.
Now, that being said, the court is concerned that Ms. Dos Santos will, as I have had in other cases, return to the consulate in Miami in an attempt to get a replacement passport.
E o que me preocupa é que, em outros casos, as pessoas tentaram, como a senhora dos Santos, talvez, né, ir ao consulado em Miami e tentar obter outro passaporte.
So I'm specifically ordering as a condition that she may not apply for any type of passport pending resolution of this case.
Então, eu vou julgar especificamente que ela não pode solicitar nenhum tipo de passaporte pendendo a resolução desse caso.
And I'm advising you, Ms. Dos Santos, if you violate any of these conditions until your case is resolved,
E eu vou lhe caucionar, senhora dos Santos, se a senhora violar qualquer uma dessas condições, enquanto o seu caso está sendo resolvido.
you will likely be held in custody in the Broward County Jail
É muito provável que você seja mantida sob custódia na prisão de Broward County,
until your case is resolved.
até que o seu caso seja resolvido.
Yes, hold on, counsel. Go ahead.
The court is placing her on an electronic monitor.
The court is going to place her on the lowest level electronic monitor,
Okay,
whatever that
that's
is.
fine. Level 2 GPS.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Judge, respectfully, I've had the time right now to review this probable cause affidavit. It's quite lengthy, and I believe it's at some points poorly written. I've had a time now to examine the PC affidavit, and I'd like to share my thoughts with you regarding the probable cause affidavit.
Go ahead.
Então, Vossa Excelência, com todo respeito, esse documento juramentado, eu tive a oportunidade de revisá-lo, foi muito mal escrito e eu gostaria de discutir isso com o senhor agora. Pode
The
falar.
accident occurred on December 23rd. I believe it happened around sometime in the early morning of December 23rd.
Ok, o acidente aconteceu no dia 23 de dezembro, o que cedo de manhã.
Later on at 3:15 p.m. that afternoon,
Mais tarde, naquele mesmo dia, às 15h15,
Ms. Oreo dos Santos contacted law enforcement.
senhora Uriu dos Santos ligou para os pessoal ou para os policiais.
Now, her first language is Portuguese.
O primeiro idioma dela é o português.
I don't know if they had a conversation with her with a Portuguese interpreter or proceeded to speak to her in English.
Eu não sei se eles falaram com ela através do intérprete para o português ou só falaram em inglês.
My understanding from the probable cause affidavit,
A minha compreensão desse documento juramentado de causa provável,
she called to inform law enforcement that her vehicle was stolen.
ela ligou para a polícia para informar que o carro dela tinha sido roubado.
They then got into the facts of the traffic accident.
E depois eles começaram a falar a respeito dos fatos do acidente de trânsito.
Ms. Oreo dos Santos did let them know that she was involved in the traffic accident.
A senhora Uriu dos Santos falou para eles que ela tinha sofrido um acidente de carro, que ela esteve envolvida.
That conversation was more in depth.
Esse diálogo foi mais profundo.
That conversation switched from a phone call where then she gave them their address and they followed up that conversation by going to her residence later on that same day.
Ok, então depois desse diálogo foi seguido por um telefonema e depois eles foram na casa dela nesse mesmo dia.
At that point, she did tell law enforcement that she was in an accident and that another car sideswiped her, causing this chain reaction for her vehicle to go ahead and subsequently hit vehicle number 2, which is the alleged victim in this case.
Ok, então ela falou para os policiais que o outro carro bateu no dela, que depois causou esse acidente, né, que bateu no outro veículo de número 2, que é o veículo em questão.
She did inform the law enforcement that then her vehicle, she left at the side of the road.
E ela informou aos policiais que o seu veículo ela deixou no lado da estrada.
She did inform them she does not know where the vehicle was.
Ela falou para eles que ela não sabia onde o veículo estava.
And because she didn't know where it was, it could be stolen.
E como ela disse que ela não sabia onde ele estava, então poderia ser que houvesse sido roubado.
There's 2 witnesses listed in the probable cause affidavit which said that Ms. Oreo dos Santos actually, after the accident, left her vehicle and went to vehicle number 2, approached the alleged victim, and asked her if she was okay.
Ok, temos 2 testemunhas, que a senhora Oreo dos Santos, que elas viram que ela saiu depois do acidente e foi ver se as pessoas lá estavam bem.
In which another independent witness, which is listed in the probable cause affidavit, verifies that and actually says that the alleged victim responded and said she was okay.
Ok, e essa testemunha também falou nessa declaração que a senhora dos Santos foi falar com a vítima alegada e que ela disse que estava bem.
She was arrested yesterday.
Ela foi presa ontem.
Law enforcement did contact her and told her to come to the police station.
Ok, então a polícia entrou em contato com ela e disse para ela ir à estação de polícia.
Now, this is a person that's now had 3 conversations with law enforcement voluntarily providing provided her address where she resides and then came to the police station to actually go ahead and turn herself in.
Ok, então essa é uma pessoa que 3 vezes voluntariamente falou com a polícia, deu o endereço e depois se entregou.
This is a person in which she's been living in our community for 3 years now.
É uma pessoa que vive na nossa comunidade por 3 anos.
She's a housekeeper by trade.
Ok? Ela trabalha em limpeza.
She lives in Coconut Creek and rents an apartment there.
Ela mora em Coconut Creek e aluga um apartamento lá.
This is her first arrest in 3 years that she's been living in our community.
É a primeira vez que ela é presa nesses 3 anos que mora na nossa comunidade.
I know Your Honor said that you had hesitation or concerns that she would be maybe potentially going to Brazil.
Ok, Vossa Excelência, eu sei que o senhor estava hesitando, estava preocupado que ela voltasse para o Brasil.
And escaping and not trying to face these charges.
E fugir para não ter que confrontar essas acusações.
Judge, I know she'll have her day in court, but according to the probable cause affidavit, she went ahead and checked on the victim and contacted law enforcement and basically went ahead and surrendered herself yesterday.
Ok, de acordo com a declaração de causa provável, ela contatou os policiais e também se entregou voluntariamente ontem.
I don't think at this time, as far as her fleeing, that's the last thing from her mind.
Eu acho que a última coisa na mente dela é fugir.
Respectfully, we'd ask you to, at this time, we have no problem as far as pre-trial being under the supervision. I'd ask you to consider an ROR in her case, Judge.
Did the court notes that your version, of course, differs from what is in the investigating officer's report, specifically that she stated she got scared and acknowledged leaving the scene. Did the state want to be heard? No, I'm looking.
Yeah, no, I just didn't know if you wanted to interpret what the court.
Ok, então a corte gostaria de notar aqui que a sua versão é diferente da versão da declaração feita pelo oficial, onde ela reconheceu que ela ficou com medo e abandonou a cena do acidente.
Yes, Your Honor. I just wanted to note that Deputy Rossman's report.
Eu gostaria de mencionar que o relatório do deputado Rossman
Clearly indicates that Ms. Dos Santos never checked on anyone.
claramente indica que a senhora dos Santos nunca foi ver como ninguém estava passando.
That she only fled from the scene when someone told her they were calling the police.
Que ela fugiu da cena somente quando foi informada que a polícia ia ser chamada.
And I think it's very concerning that a witness stated that Ms. Dos Santos seemed confused and was slurring her speech.
E eu acho que é causa de preocupação que uma testemunha falou que a senhora dos Santos estava confusa e também ela estava arrastando a voz.
Noting the alleged driving pattern and that Ms. Dos Santos was leaving the Rodano Bar and Grill at approximately 3 in the morning.
E também devido ao seu padrão de como estava dirigindo, que a senhora dos Santos estava saindo. I'm sorry, what is the name of the place?
Rodano Bar and Grill.
Rodano Bar and Grill, às 3 da madrugada.
Okay, that's all. The court ruling. I'm not going to engage in a back and forth, counsel. I have listened to you. I gave you ample opportunity. The court's ruling stands. That's all, folks.
Ok, senhor advogado, a corte não vai ficar discutindo com você. Eu lhe dei ampla oportunidade e a corte vai manter sua decisão. Isso é tudo.
All right, thank you. That's all.
Your Honor, I just need some clarification on the passport order. Do you want it surrendered to the clerk?
Obrigada, isso é tudo.
How does usually do that? To the clerk of court.
And is that prior to release or within a certain period after release?
It should be prior to release.
Okay, because I'll prepare the order. I just wanted to.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honor.
Oh, I already.
May I have a signature?
Already signed? Number 2. Oh. There you go. All right, somebody. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, I'll see you folks this afternoon.
All right, Your Honor, I'll bring the order up to your chambers.